Welcome to Terrafirma Resources 2024 General Orientation. In this orientation, we will discuss the following: health and safety policy, worker rights and responsibilities, company rules, drug and alcohol policy, potential hazards, hazard assessments and controls, workplace hazardous materials information system or WHMIS, violence and harassment prevention program, enforcement policy, working alone policy, joint health and safety committee, training and evaluation, emergency response, WCB claims and modified work policy, confidentiality, safety audits, and lastly, the conclusion. Please pay attention as you will receive a quiz at the end. Terrafirma Resources Health and Safety Policy outlines Terrafirma's commitment to a strong safety program that protects employees, subcontractors, clients, the public, and the environment from accidental or deliberate loss caused by injuries or accident. All workers must be aware of and understand the health and safety policy of Terrafirma Resources. Management will provide and maintain a safe, healthy work environment in accordance with industry standards and in compliance with legislative requirements by supplying the proper equipment, procedures, and training to workers. The company will ensure that workers are competent, qualified, and trained to perform their job tasks. Direct supervision by a worker who is competent to do the work will be provided to workers who are not competent to complete the work. We will strive to eliminate any foreseeable hazards which may result in property damage, accidents, or personal injury or illness. Regular inspections will be carried out at work sites, office, and shop locations to ensure that the work site is free of hazards that could cause slips, trips, or falls. Equipment is maintained in a condition that will not compromise the health or safety of workers using or transporting it. Equipment will safely perform the function for which it is intended or was designed, and is of adequate strength for its purpose, and is free of obvious defects. Terrafirma supports environmental sustainability and strives to conduct work in a manner that is environmentally friendly. Employees and subcontractors will share the responsibility and be accountable for the company's health and safety performance. Complete and active participation by everyone in every job site is necessary for the safety excellence this company expects. Every employee and contractor has the right and responsibility to refuse unsafe work. For example, where the use or operation of a machine or thing could cause danger. When a condition exists in the place that constitutes danger to an employee or to another employee. Or when performance of the activity constitutes a danger to the employee or another employee. As a Terrafirma employee, you have certain responsibilities to maintain the safety culture expected within the company. All workers must carry out their work in a manner that will not create a hazard to their own health and safety or the health and safety of other workers. Follow safe work procedures and practices. Assist site supervisors to reduce and control unsafe conditions and acts on the work site. Report unsafe conditions. Report any incidents immediately to their supervisor. Report any anticipated loss of work time to their supervisor as soon as possible after being treated by a physician following injury. Report any injury or illness. Be actively involved in the hazard assessment process. Comply with rules and regulations. Make safety suggestions. Assist in evaluating new and existing procedures. Wear proper personal protective equipment or PPE. Be educated about the task that they are completing. Have the responsibility to refuse unsafe work or work conditions. Report near misses, incidents, accidents, etc. Complete all required paperwork as part of the job. Communicate with whatever level of supervisor is appropriate. Perform pre-use inspections of all lifting devices, rigging, mobile equipment and tools. Set a good example. Supply proper equipment, procedures, and training necessary. Strive to eliminate any foreseeable hazards. And lastly, support environmental sustainability. As a worker in Alberta, you have 3 basic rights. You have the right to know about workplace hazards and have access to basic health and safety information. Health and safety information is available on all Terrafirma work sites in job vans, offices, and trailers. You have the right to participate in health and safety discussion and health and safety committees. Terrafirma Resources institutes a robust safety program consisting of safety meetings, hazard assessments, and committees to make your voice heard. You have the right to refuse dangerous work and know that you're protected from reprisal. Any Terrafirma employee is expected to stop and refuse work that they deem to be dangerous, or they feel they are not competent to perform, reporting the situation to their supervisor. The right to know means workers need to know about workplace hazards in order to take work-related actions that will help them be safe and healthy while at work. Employers must ensure that information on health and safety hazards is available. The right to participate is another way to reduce the risks for workers. In line with Part 3 of the OH&S Act, workers should be able to participate in identifying hazards and assist in determining the hazard controls. For instance, workers should be trained to participate effectively in field-level hazard assessments and pre-job or tailgate meetings. The right to refuse dangerous work means workers should refuse to do work they believe would put themselves or others in imminent danger. Under the OH&S Act, workers are protected from reprisal for exercising this right. Workers must continue to be paid while a work refusal is being investigated. Employers must ensure that workers understand the hazards of the workplace, know what needs to be reported, and have the support to exercise their right to refuse dangerous work. Employees at Terrafirma Resources must know and understand their three rights, as well as their legislated health and safety responsibilities. Employees' health and safety performance is continually evaluated through management site visits, on-site supervision, and quality of stop and think cards. Workers who demonstrate commitment to their health and safety rights and responsibilities are awarded at random based on these evaluations. All employees, visitors and subcontractors on any Terrafirma Resources project or property must abide by company policies, practices, guidelines and the following rules. 1. Personal protective equipment should be worn by all employees and subcontractors in compliance with Terrafirma Resources policies and client requirements on all sites. 2. Report to your supervisor all unsafe acts and unsafe conditions. 3. Promptly report any near misses, accidents, incidents or injuries, regardless of their nature, to your supervisor. 4. Perform all work using safe work practices and procedures and comply with all applicable legislation. 5. Maintain good housekeeping in your work area to foster a safe work environment free of hazards associated with slips, trips and falls. 6. Obey all site rules and highway legislation when operating vehicles and mobile equipment, including adherence to all speed limits, provincial, company-specific and site-specific speed restrictions. 7. Seat belts must be worn in all company equipment and vehicles. 8. All employees and subcontractors shall participate in Terrafirma Resources hazard assessment process and pre-job safety meetings, as well as monthly safety meetings. 9. Safety glasses, face shields, etc. shall be worn when welding, grinding, and for other operations which require eye protection. 10. Smoking is permitted only in designated areas. 11. Discrimination against fellow workers, harassment, violence, theft, or vandalism of company property or disclosure of trade secrets is subject to immediate termination. 12. Consuming or being in possession of alcohol or illegal drugs on company premises or on any Terrafirma Resources worksite is prohibited. And 13. Remember that you have the responsibility to refuse unsafe work. Terrafirma Resources guidelines strictly prohibits the unauthorized use, possession, storage, distribution, purchase, sale and or offer for sale of alcohol, illegal drugs, non-prescription drugs, intoxicants or drug paraphernalia by employees, visitors and contractors on any Terrafirma Resources worksite. Employees and subcontractors should not report for work, operate a company-owned or leased vehicle, or otherwise engage in company business in any state of impairment that could adversely affect their ability to work safely and effectively. Any use of alcohol or non-prescribed drugs that causes or contributes to unacceptable job performance or unusual job behavior is also prohibited. Terrafirma Resources is committed to meeting our clients' requirements and will follow whichever policy is most stringent. As such, during your employment at Terrafirma Resources, employees and contractors in safety-sensitive positions may be subject to the following types of testing procedures including post-accident, follow-up, reasonable cause, pre-access testing and return to duty. One of the goals of our program is to encourage employees to voluntarily seek help with alcohol and or drug problems. If, however, an individual violates the policy, the consequences are serious. Employees found to be using alcohol or drugs while at work will be disciplined severely. This involves a consultation with operations and managers regarding disciplinary action and the possibility of rehabilitation. Supervisors having actual knowledge that the employee is under the influence of alcohol or drugs shall not permit the employee to get behind the wheel, operate any Terrafirma Resources equipment, or be at work, period. In regards to visitors or contractors, they will immediately be removed from the worksite. Any employee or subcontractor taking prescription medication must report that information to the manager or supervisor on site immediately. As a part of your orientation, you will be asked to sign a drug and alcohol policy acknowledgement, stating that you understand and will abide by this policy. Terrafirma Resources strives to ensure a safe and efficient working environment for its employees. We expect all employees, visitors, and contractors to fully cooperate with our safety program, rules, practices, procedures, and policies. You may come into contact with certain hazards while working for Terrafirma. These include high traffic on public roads and work sites, tight spaces, pinch points, noise, excavation cave-ins, overhead power lines, slipping, tripping and falling, manual lifting and ergonomics, H2 sites, remote areas, weather conditions, underground utilities, explosion, electrical, high pressure lines, and WMIS or TDG products. As a part of this orientation, you will be asked to sign a document stating that you have read and understand that you may be subjected to the above hazards. Formal hazard assessments are conducted on all Terrafirma job sites at the beginning of each shift and ongoing throughout the day as tasks or circumstances change. These are conducted using field-level hazard assessments, or FLHAs, and stop-and-think cards. On these documents, tasks are listed, the hazards of each task are identified, each hazard is ranked in terms of risk, and controls are put in place to mitigate the hazards. The hierarchy of controls demonstrate the types of controls that can be implemented to mitigate a hazard. The most effective control is to physically remove the hazard through elimination. The next best is to replace the hazard through substitution. If those can't be done, people should be isolated from the hazard using engineering controls. Lastly, administrative controls can be applied to change the way people work, and the worker can wear personal protective equipment. Elimination is the most effective control. Examples of these hazard controls are as follows. Elimination. Have workers perform tasks at ground level rather than working at heights. Substitution. Substitute a hazardous chemical with a non-toxic chemical. Engineering. Install noise dampening technology to reduce noise levels. Administrative. Implement health and safety policies and employee training to recognize and safeguard hazards. And PPE. Wear respirators, gloves, fire-retardant clothing, hard hats, goggles, and earplugs. Remember that PPE is the last line of defense. Hazard assessments are reviewed every morning and throughout the day, including when any task is added or circumstances change. Any changes to hazard controls are communicated to workers during tailgate meetings and throughout the day via stop-and-think cards. As per your CSTS training, you learned about the purpose of WMIS responsibilities, labels, hazard symbols, protecting yourself, and SDSs. The Terrafirma SDSs are located in Terrafirma's shops, job vans, and crew trucks, as well as with each supervisor or superintendent. SDSs are important because they tell us what is in each product, the warnings, such as poisonous, flammable, or corrosive, PPE requirements, as well as first aid measures should you need to refer to them. At Terrafirma, you may come into contact with the following WMIS products at a minimum: antifreeze, battery acid, diesel, fire extinguisher powder, gasoline, gear oil, grease, cleaners, motor oil, hydraulic fluids, propane, spray 9, spray paint, transmission fluid, Windex, and WD-40. If, while working for Terrafirma, you come across products not on this list, either in the shop area or on a client site, you should contact safety immediately to ensure that SDS for that product is obtained and readily available to you. There are 4 important questions that a worker must consider and know at all times when on a Terrafirma Resources job site. 1. What are the hazards? 2. How should I protect myself? 3. What should I do if there is an incident? And 4. How do I get more information? Until a worker is able to answer these 4 questions about every hazardous product they work with or around, they are not considered WMIS trained. Terrafirma Resources will not tolerate any type of workplace harassment or violence and is committed to make every effort to prevent violence and harassment from occurring. OH&S defines harassment as any objectionable conduct, comment, or display by a person that is directed at a worker, is made on the basis of race, creed, religion, color, sex, sexual orientation, marital status, family status, disability, physical size or weight, age, nationality, ancestry, or place of origin, and constitutes a threat to the health and safety of the worker. Terrafirma Resources considers workplace violence a hazard for the purposes of hazard assessment, elimination, and control, and, as such, implements a workplace violence prevention program. Terrafirma Resources will identify and institute a combination of control measures designed to eliminate or mitigate the risks of violent incidents. Any employee or subcontractor's employee who feels that he or she has been the subject of harassment or violence in the workplace is encouraged to contact his or her supervisor without fear of retaliatory, disciplinary, or negative career action. Terrafirma Resources should ensure that all harassment complaints are investigated confidentially and discreetly. In the event of workplace harassment or violence-related incident, depending on the type of incident, immediately contact medical assistance or local law enforcement agencies such as 911. Report to your direct supervisor or manager. If not comfortable reporting to the above, then report to your HS representative. Employees are not prohibited from reporting externally if necessary. Terrafirma Resources enforces a 3-strike policy for disciplinary measures. A A strike may be given for non-compliance of our Terrafirma policies, rules, and procedures. The disciplinary measures that may be administered include, depending on the seriousness of the act. 1. A verbal warning will be given for any safety violation where the potential for injury and/or property damage was great, or if an employee or subcontractor fails to comply with Terrafirma or OH&S regulations. 2. A written warning will be given for any violation where a verbal warning was given, but apparently ignored by the worker. A written warning will also be given for any safety violation where the potential for injury and/or property damage was great. 3. Suspension or termination will be enforced dependent on the severity of the infraction and the frequency. All measures will be documented with a copy of the applicable reports placed in the employee's personnel file. Workers, subcontractors, visitors or anyone who fails to comply with our rules will be removed from projects and properties. The safety information in all guidelines does not take precedence over applicable legislations in the OH&S code. All employees are responsible to become familiar with applicable legislations and code. In accordance with the Occupational Health and Safety Act, Chapter 35. Existence of imminent danger relates to a danger that is not normal to that occupation or a danger under which a person engaged in that occupation would not normally carry out the person's work. This section states that no worker shall carry out any work if, on reasonable and probable grounds, the worker believes that an imminent danger exists to the health or safety of that worker. No worker shall carry out any work if, on reasonable and probable grounds, the worker believes that it will cause to exist imminent danger to the health or safety of that worker or another worker present at the work site. And no worker shall operate any tool, appliance or equipment if, on reasonable and probable grounds, the worker believes that it will cause to exist an imminent danger to the health or safety of that worker present at the work site. Should a Terrafirma Resources worker refuse to carry out work, management is to be contacted immediately with the reasons for the worker's refusal. Terrafirma Resources will then investigate and take action to eliminate the imminent danger. No worker will be assigned to use or operate a tool, appliance, or equipment, or to perform work which a worker has made notification that imminent danger exists. Management will prepare a written record of the worker's notification, the investigation, and action taken. While no disciplinary action will be taken against a worker for acting in compliance with the Imminent Danger Act, the worker may be asked to stay on the work site where practical, but be assigned temporarily to other work assignments that the worker is capable of performing. Workers have the responsibility to refuse unsafe work. Working alone in certain circumstances or environments may be unsafe and requires special arrangements to minimize potential hazards. The OH&S code states that a worker is considered to be working alone if the worker works by himself or herself at a worksite in circumstances where assistance is not readily available when needed. Readily available must take into consideration 3 assessment factors, including awareness, willingness and timeliness. As such, the safety measures and working alone procedures contained in this policy may still apply when a Terrafirma employee is working alone, but with people from another employer or the general public. Should a work-alone situation arise, the safety measures to be taken by management in cooperation with employees include conducting a hazard assessment to identify existing or potential safety hazards in the workplace associated with working alone, implementing safety controls as identified during the hazard assessment to eliminate or reduce the risk to workers, and ensuring workers have an effective way of communicating with Terrafirma management, supervisors, or the head office in case of an emergency situation. This communication system includes the use of cell phones. The frequency of the call-in system will be determined during the hazard assessment and will be dependent on the severity of hazards on the worksite. The following communications systems may include but are not limited to the following. At a worksite involving minimal hazards, the worker will be required to check in with management upon arrival to the site and also when the job is completed. When a more hazardous work situation is present, the worker will be required to periodically call in at predetermined intervals to head office or management. Alternately, management may perform frequent visits to the site where practical. Where effective electronic communication is not available, management or safety personnel will check in with the worker by visiting the worksite periodically as discussed during the pre-job planning phase. Workers required to work alone will be properly trained and possess all relevant tickets in relation to the job being performed. They will have cellular phones and be aware of the emergency response plan for that particular job site, as discussed during the hazard assessment and pre-job planning phase. Terrafirma recognizes the importance of providing a safe and secure work environment. A Joint Health and Safety Committee, or JHSC, is a committee made of supervisors and workers brought together to discuss and address health and safety-related concerns in the workplace. They allow workers to participate in occupational health and safety and support the 3 basic rights of workers: the right to know, the right to participate, and the right to refuse dangerous work. The role of the committee is to advise and assist, not assume managerial responsibilities for health and safety in the workplace. Health and safety committees help employers respond to health and safety concerns for workers, develop health and safety policies and safe work procedures, develop and promote education and training programs, participate in worksite inspections and investigations, investigate worker reports of dangerous work and refusal to work, as well as help with health and safety orientations for new employees. Employers must provide adequate resources, time, and training to help committees and representatives function effectively, hold meetings and carry out duties and functions during normal working hours, and post the names and contact information of committee members and representatives where it can be seen by all workers. The JHSC has at least 4 members, with at least half representing the workers. Worker representatives are selected by the workers for a term of not less than 1 year. Employee representatives are assigned by the employer and act as a liaison between the committee and upper management. The committee meets once every quarter to discuss health and safety matters brought forth by the workers. Terrafirma Resources Management meets regularly with committee chairs to discuss these health and safety matters and provide formal response and action as necessary. Committee members are posted at all shops and work sites, along with their email addresses and phone numbers. Any health and safety related concerns need to be brought to the attention of your supervisor or committee members. Any worker can elect to be a member or representative of the committee. All employees will receive job-specific training to ensure they are competent at the tasks they perform. This training will apply to new workers, workers who are assigned to a new task, and/or when operational changes affect the work being performed. Workers will be overseen by a supervisor with knowledge and experience in the area being performed and will be evaluated using task-specific competency evaluation forms. On every Terrafirma job site, an emergency response plan is established by the supervisor which details at minimum the location of the nearest hospital, fire station, and first aid station, the start site number if the location is further than 20 minutes from the nearest first aid treatment, the location of the muster point, and emergency contacts. Your responsibility as a worker is to be familiar with this plan and to know where it is located, generally on the dash of the foreman's truck or in the job van, and to execute your role in initiating an emergency response should the situation arise. In the event of an emergency or work refusal, the flow of information is as follows. The worker reports to the foreman or supervisor. The foreman or supervisor reports to the operations manager. The operations manager reports to the HSE manager. The HSE manager reports to the president of Terrafirma Resources. Your role as a worker when initiating an emergency response is report the incident to the manager or supervisor by cell phone or two-way radio, care for and/or provide first aid to injured worker if applicable, freeze the scene, do not disturb the scene of an incident unless there is imminent danger. The supervisor must perform a hazard assessment to determine if the scene is safe before the scene of an incident is disturbed. Complete an incident report form. Any incident that may occur is investigated, and all investigation results are communicated to workers through safety alerts and during safety meetings. If you happen to be injured while on the job, you have the following responsibilities. 1. Notify your immediate supervisor and/or company safety manager prior to seeking medical aid, except in cases of emergency. 2. Obtain medical aid if required, and notify the treating physician that Terrafirma does have a modified work program. 3. Obtain a copy of required medical information and present it to Terrafirma should the attending physician neglect to send the required medical information to the company. 4. Obtain a copy of Terrafirma's consent to release medical information form from Terrafirma's safety department and ensure the attending physician is given this form to complete. 5. Return the completed consent to release medical information form to the safety manager. 6. Meet with the safety department supervisor to discuss your return to work plans. If that includes modified work, then you will be complete a modified work offer form during this meeting. 7. Prior to return to work, you must be cleared by a physician, and you must obtain and have the physician fill out a follow-up assessment form. 8. Return the completed follow-up assessment form to the safety department. 9. Participate in any modified work assigned to you provided it has been approved by the attending physician. 10. Keep Terrafirma's safety manager informed of all medical treatment, changes in prognosis, prescriptions prescribed, and any other information relative to the injury that could affect positively or negatively your return to work plans. As a condition of employment with Terrafirma, you must sign an agreement stating that you agree with and understand the above requirements. Terrafirma Resources will provide temporary modified work assignments for employees who are unable to perform their regular duties because of work-related injuries or illnesses as determined by a physician, in conjunction with the applicable WCB authority. The purpose of this policy is to provide temporarily disabled employees the opportunity to remain in the workforce by utilizing the rehabilitative efforts of gradual re-entry to full capacity employment and to reduce the costs of our workers' compensation program. A modified work assignment is any work for which the employee is qualified and which is compatible with the employee's physical restrictions or limitations resulting from a work-related injury or illness. Modified work will comply with the physician's orders and shall not be a type of work that will result in a re-injury to the worker. If the employee feels that they are physically unable to perform the modified work assignment related to their expertise, the manager or foreman shall modify their work to another field and ensure that they are properly trained to perform this task. An employee on modified work duty should be regularly evaluated by a physician to determine if there has been any progress in the employee's injuries or illness. The employee shall keep Terrafirma resources posted as to their condition. The duration of the employee on the modified work program will be determined case by case with the help of a physician's opinion. Confidentiality. It is extremely important that the private or confidential information and affairs of Terrafirma resources be maintained in confidence. As such, you will be asked to sign a legal document stating that you agree to the following. You will not, either during the term of your employment or at any time thereafter, disclose or reveal in any manner whatsoever the private affairs of the Terrafirma resources or any of its affiliates. Upon termination of employment, you shall deliver up to Terrafirma resources every and all documents, papers, plans, brochures, projects, discussion papers, customer list, diaries, materials, and other property. All material, devices, information or discoveries of any kind disclosed to or developed by yourself in the performance of your job are the property of Terrafirma resources. Knowledge, information, and facts as to any documents, devices, or processes acquired, generated, or utilized by yourself in the course of your employment must be kept in confidence to be used only for the sole benefit of Terrafirma resources. You must acknowledge that no information, documents, pictures, etc. pertaining to the business activities of Terrafirma resources or any of its affiliates be posted to any form of social media, including but not limited to Facebook, Twitter, and/or YouTube. Failure to comply with any of the terms outlined in this agreement could result in immediate termination of the employee by Terrafirma resources. Terrafirma resources undergoes safety audits annually. During these audits, the safety program of the company is reviewed through document assessment and interviews with workers and management to ensure that safety policies and OH&S requirements are clear and understood by all employees. The results of every safety audit are made available to workers as they occur through safety meetings, memos, and/or through the yearly Fresh Start in January. In 2013, Terrafirma scored 96%. In conclusion, Terrafirma asks that you agree to the following. Understand your responsibilities and requirements as an employee of this company and abide by the rules, policies, and procedures enforced by Terrafirma resources. Agree that on all Terrafirma work sites you will wear basic PPE, including flame-resistant coveralls with reflective striping, work boots, side impact CSA Class E hard hat, safety glasses, work gloves, and hearing protection where required. Agree that the PPE you wear will be in compliance with the OH&S code and Terrafirma company policy and that it will be suitable for the task being performed. Agree that you will not wear hoodies on any of Tarkanov's work sites. That you be fit for duty. Terrafirma will not tolerate or condone any work activities while under the influence of drugs or alcohol. If you are taking prescription medication, you are required to report this to your supervisor immediately. Any employee found to be in non-compliance with the drug and alcohol policy will be subject to serious consequences. If you are asked to perform a task that you do not understand, you will stop and ask questions. You must not perform a task unless you feel confident that you are qualified to do so and understand how to complete the task. You will be asked to sign a document stating you will abide by the above. Thank you for participating in Terrafirma's 2024 orientation. You will receive a sticker demonstrating that you have completed your orientation prior to beginning work. You can find the information discussed in this orientation or any other health and safety information you need in the job vans, offices, or shops on all of Terrafirma's sites. If you have any questions or concerns at all, do not hesitate to bring them to the attention of your supervisor. Welcome to the team. Thank you.